It's another day, the sun is shining. Got to know what's going on around you. Wake up, it's the time to motivate your mind. Come with me, let's make this moment brighter. Wake up in the Bahamas and sunrise. Come on and wake up in the Bahamas and sunrise.
Good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise. It is, of course, Whit Monday and a holiday here in the Bahamas, the 1st of June. I'm Anastasia Palacios.
Good morning. Happy Monday to you. I'm Philip Simon.
And of course, it's our pleasure to be back in your company. We hope that you've enjoyed the weekend, still enjoying it. Certainly some restrictions have been lifted over this past weekend, and so we hope that you were able to get out, do some exercising, and that you're ready for another week, our first in June, and of course, another week of lockdowns, but a lot of us easing out of those regulations now. But so much has been going on in the world since we spoke, even on Friday, as you were watching that black icon CNN get arrested, and so certainly it's been a weekend filled with energy, to say the least.
Like no other, I am still kind of really in shock from January 1st of this year. 2020 has been taking our breaths away, and then at the same time providing voices for things and situations that should have been screaming at a very long time ago. I mean, I'm almost speechless just watching what is going on in the world and watching particularly now what's happening in the United States. I mean, COVID became a backstory just instantly, and it remains there. We're still in the midst of a pandemic, right?
We certainly still are, and a lot of people, I think, are a bit anxious about what those riots that we're seeing. And I want to be careful with my terminology, because I think we as media have a responsibility to use certain words that will incite certain beliefs or thought processes. So rather than riots, rebellions that we're seeing in the United States, and the fact that, a lot of people are concerned that those mass demonstrations will lead to more cases. In fact, I saw one report coming out of Florida talking about an increase, I think, in the thousands over the weekend in the last 48 hours alone, just as a result of people gathering together. And so certainly it really is an interesting time. Memes on social media can kind of make fun of these things, help us to laugh through some of the pain. And many of them are talking about the fact that, you wake up every day and see which chapter of Revelation you're going to live through today. Or, you wake up and you just wonder, how much further can this movie go? But I said to some friends, it's interesting, because if somebody had written this book or put it all in a movie together, we would not have liked it, right? The critics would have said, no, it's just too far-fetched. There's just too many things happening. But this is our reality. We got killer toads back in Western New Providence. We got killer hornets throughout the United States. They found some cave where they just discovered a bunch of species that have been hidden for 500 million years or something. And you've got astronauts taking off to space, and simultaneously you've got these passionate movements of people that really are fighting for the liberty and equality that has been promised to them as a part of their constitution, but that they've not seen. And then you're seeing that spillover not just throughout the United States, but I think with more protests than we've seen before happening simultaneously, but around the world. You've got people in Berlin, Germany. You've got people in Toronto, Canada. You have people who are saying from across the world that this is wrong and something has to change. And so it really has been powerful, unleashing conversations even here in the Bahamas about our own race dynamics, about the way that we interact as different sets of Black people from different Caribbean nations living in one country. And so a lot is going on, Phil.
A lot to digest, and you can only hope that this won't happen again in terms of the magnitude. Let me put it this way. Let's hope that it's not necessary for this to happen again on this magnitude. Just to rephrase that, because again, it's probably at least 50 to 60 countries cities across the United States uh, are protesting, are rebelling, are saying that this is absolutely, and you see, there's black, there's white, there's Mormon, there's Asian, there's just so many different, everybody recognizes that what happened was wrong, right? And, the police chief in Minneapolis was asked today that the other officers that were there, that were either sitting on his knees or his back, or even the Asian officer that was just standing nearby, if they did nothing and if they remained silent while this assault was going on, that they were complicit. And if you want to extend that even further, throughout, the world, we just can't stand back anymore and watch injustices happen. If we are silent, then that means that we too are complicit in accepting, you know, this unrighteousness.
Yeah, and indeed. And of course, these protests are so much more than just that. Obviously, they started out in particular with this instance. They started out as a people who have been oppressed for over 400 years and are really pushing for change, systematic change, especially in the way that we interact with police officers. This coming, of course, on the heels of Amy Cooper and the calling in Central Park, the murders of Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery, and so just so many different factors leading up to this moment. And in addition to that, you have people that are taking advantage of that chaos. And so I think it's also very important for those who may not be paying attention to the finer details of these elements to understand that amidst this crisis and this call for change for the human race at large is also groups of people that want to spread discord. You've got anarchists as a part of this movement, and you've got the Ku Klux Klan as a part of this movement. And what they're doing is, setting fires, causing trouble, burning down historically Black neighborhoods as well. And so it's a fusion and a mix of just so much anger, I think, that really needs a serious healing. And so I think also those of us that are Christian are called to not only comment on these things, join them where we can or how we can, supporting them financially, but also to continue to keep in prayer these people and the world at large, because what we're seeing globally is so much more than what it appears to be on the surface. And we really have to be prepared for what all of this will mean moving into next year, right? We already talked about the economics of it all from a COVID perspective, but now you're looking at the destruction. So the video is just so much more than just the surface things that we see. So we want to make sure that we're offering our support as best we can, understanding that we have our own battles to fight here in our own country regarding race and economics, and then of course making sure that we are taking a prayerful stance as well, so that we can begin to cover those things we may not see visually, but that we know may be happening behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, no doubt. We're all impacted. We're all impacted.
Yeah. So we got a great show lined up for you. Of course, we get to enjoy the morning talking to each other, but we want to bring you into the conversation. We've got several people lined up to talk about some really important issues. And Phil, who do we have up first this morning?
And, I was just about to say, and through the midst of all of that, June 1st officially marks the beginning of our hurricane season. Wow. Anyway, we're talking about hurricane preparedness today. We'll talk with the Bahamas Red Cross and what they're doing and what their needs are. AML Foods is also here to let us know what emergency supplies you can get in the variety of their stores. They've got quite a cross-section of stores. And of course, I'm looking forward to the conversation with Gowan Moe and Rupert Pinder about the 2020-21 budget, which was delivered last week in the House of Assembly. Boy, in the backdrop of all of this, man, we still have a ways to go to really resetting our economy. And if you think that what's happening in the United States in terms of, the protest is not going to add an additional obstacle to our economy, those in the Caribbean as well, then you're just completely misled in terms of what is really happening.
Yeah, indeed. And all of these factors really just go into what we see and what we live, not even just this year, which we already know is hard enough, but in the next 1 to 3 years. And so that's going to be a great conversation that you have with Gowan and Woodford. Looking forward to that. We've also got Quality Home Center here. They're going to be talking to us about what their stores have in terms of hurricane season, and as well as I know many people have been taking advantage of going into those stores to see what they have for kids during this time when they've been home during COVID-19. So we'll get some more on Quality Home Center this morning as well. And then, of course, we want to remind you about the webinar series that we started last week. Those conversations going really well. Lots of people talking about, in particular, the conversation that Philip led and said it was really, really good on the economy. So tomorrow, June 2nd, we're going to be talking about telehealth. And on Wednesday, June 3rd, personal finances, something very important, especially with so many people having either lost their jobs or on half pay or NIB assistance. What does it mean to make sure that you're budgeting well during this time? And we're going to do that. And so we want you to register by going to tclevents.com. Of course, these webinars are absolutely free, just meant to engage some of our brilliant minds and talk about things that can help us all. So make sure that you register at tclevents.com. Again, the first one taking place tomorrow. Now, we've heard a lot, talked a lot this morning about so much going on. One of the things that continues to impact us, of course, is our weather. And we're going to turn things over now to Godfrey Burnside with a first look at weather on this first day of hurricane season. Godfrey, how does it look?
Weather at sunrise. Brought to you by Bahamas First. First in insurance. Today, tomorrow.
Thank you, Star, and good morning, Bahamas. Today is the 1st of June and the start of the 2020 tropical cyclone season, and we will speak more about that in the second half of weather. But today, high pressure dominating the feature, but that's going to shift towards the east over the next 24 hours and make for a week from a boundary to move into the northwest Bahamas sometime late tomorrow into Wednesday. That will increase our shower possibilities on Tuesday, Wednesday into Thursday. For today, a lovely day in store, weather-wise, partly sunny, hot and humid. There's a chance of 1 to 2 passing showers over the northwest and central Bahamas, variable clouds, a few showers, maybe thunderstorms over the southeastern islands, high temperature 89 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a shower or two possible, below going down to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And some regional highs and lows across the Caribbean, Barbados 85 and 79, in Jamaica 86 and 73, in Trinidad, 1976, and the Turks and Caicos Islands, 87 and 76. Across North America, Atlanta, 78 and 62. In Raleigh, 71 and 58. In Miami, 87 and 76. Dallas, Texas, 86 and 66. And Toronto, Canada, 54 and 40. As we go to the next few days, we expect that a weak from boundary to move into northwest Bahamas, increasing our cloudiness and showers and possible thunderstorm activity over the islands, and then by Thursday we expect to increase those showers and thunderstorms throughout the remainder of the week. So we should have some off and on showers through the week. Those up to daytime will be in the upper 80s, at nighttime in the upper 70s. That puts a wrap on your first look at weather at sunrise. I'm Godfrey Burnside. Bahamas at sunrise will be back after this short commercial break.
We are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me 'cause I can count on you.
Good afternoon. First response. How can I help you?
I've been in an accident on West Bay Street. Can you send someone to help?
Yes, ma'am. A first response team will be there in 15 minutes. Are you hurt?
No, I'm fine, but a bit upset.
We're glad you're not hurt. Please, try to relax. Our team will take care of everything as soon as they arrive.
First Response provides immediate on-site service and support from the scene of an accident through the claims and repair process. And it's free to all Bahamas First insured drivers in New Providence every day for any type of accident. If you drive and want First Response on your side, call 32-FIRST or visit bahamasfirst.com for the name of an authorized Bahamas First agent. First Response can't prevent an accident from happening,
But it can certainly ease your mind when it happens.
Nourish your immune system. Nourish your health. Nourish your life with Ensure. Ensure Original, Ensure Plus, and ensure max protein.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. Well, as we indicated earlier, today, June 1st, marks the beginning of the hurricane season. And of course, one of the people on the front lines, the organization that we count on to help us through any trial and tribulation, but certainly through hurricanes, is the Bahamas Red Cross. And they, of course, rely heavily on our donations, whether that's our time, our money, or actual items that we can provide. We want to make sure that they have everything that they need moving into this hurricane season and learn some more from them about things that they've actually been handling during this COVID-19 pandemic. So we're very happy to welcome Therese Curry. She's the president of the Bahamas Red Cross, and Sean Brennan, who's, of course, the new director general there at the Bahamas Red Cross. Good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise, both of you.
Good morning, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Good morning and happy with Monday to you and to the Bahamas.
Thank you, and of course, thank you for joining us. We know, of course, it is a holiday, but your work never stops, and so we're grateful that you joined us this morning. I want to jump right into the conversation. We'll get into the hurricanes because that, of course, is the major part of this. But you all have also been active during this COVID-19 period in terms of helping people to be prepared and taking care of some needs that might not have been met. Can you kind of talk to me about the work of the Red Cross during this pandemic?
Certainly, we have been very busy during this COVID-19 pandemic to assist those who are in most need, those who are vulnerable. And so we began the assistance with our Meals on Wheels program, as you know that program. Before COVID, we had about 155 persons on the program. And since COVID, it has more than tripled. Well, it has moved up to just over 700 persons on the program, getting a hot meal 6 days a week as we assist persons who are in need. And as Mr. Brennan, being in the office all the time and doing this COVID-19 relief, I'll let him update you a little bit more on what he's doing with regards to the COVID-19 pandemic relief of the Red Cross.
Great, and thank you again, Madam President. What we have been working on, first off, as COVID would have entered the Bahamas, we would have been intimately involved in terms of ensuring that communication to the citizens was clear. So we've been working in tandem with the Ministry of Health in terms of the messaging in English as well as in Creole. So that was very important to ensure that individuals receive the right information. In addition to that, we have, as Mrs. Curry has indicated, we have been involved in terms of our feeding program. As food insecurity became more prevalent and individuals began to lose their jobs, we would have been involved in terms of helping to feed more Bahamians. As a matter of fact, my current numbers indicate where we are over 1,000 meals per day. We have opted since 700 to more than 800 per day in New Providence, and then an additional 200 plus on Grand Bahama. So that brings our total to more than 1,000 people who receive a hot meal 6 days a week. So the need is great, and we appeal to the Bahamian public to continue to assist and support the Bahamas Red Cross as we try to bring aid to those who are most vulnerable in our society.
Okay, I mean, those are some outstanding numbers and certainly speaks to the times that we're in. And of course, this was before hurricane season. Now we're entering hurricane season, knowing that, they already have 4 major named storms that they anticipate will happen. We're hoping that they will pass us by. But certainly, there is, given our history over the last few years, great cause for concern. So what are some of the items that people can be donating to you? Obviously, in terms of hurricanes, yes, but even now, as you continue to feed over 1,000 people, what are some of the things that the Red Cross really needs?
Well, what we need first off is for people to be educated, and that's part of what we're doing. We've been holding webinar trainings in terms of equipping our staff and then by extension the general public in terms of how do you prepare. It's been said, without a plan, then you're destined to fail. So what we've been doing, we feel that the need for people to know what they need to do to mitigate against the uncertainty the hurricanes bring. In terms of safety precautions, what you need to be doing to better prepare your own personal family in the event of an approaching storm. And we see the devastation that took place as a result of Hurricane Dorian. And we're trying to really, first and foremost, how do you go about saving lives? So people are better educated. So we have webinars that continue throughout the entire Bahamas. We have a network of group leaders on 15 major islands in the Bahamas. So we believe training and preparing our people is most important. So a plan of action for your own personal family. And then what do you need in terms of a go kit? What do you need in terms of an emergency was the approach? Do you have a plan of getting out your home? Have you prepared your home in terms of ensuring that it is prepared to withstand a hurricane? In the event that a hurricane approaches, do you know the places that you need to be going to in terms of evacuation shelters and the like? In a COVID-19 environment now, we almost need to pre-plan to determine whether or not family and friends can accommodate us. Have they been tested? Just to ensure in this kind of an environment that we are safe as humanly possible.
Okay, all right. Ms. Curry, is there anything else? I think education, of course, is critically important, and especially given what we suffered through Dorian, what we saw in terms of family members being stuck in certain situations, the loss of lives, it really was very detrimental. What are some of the other things, though, that we can be doing to make sure that we're contributing to your needs? Is there monetary contributions that can be made? Can we even make physical contributions at this time, given COVID-19? Are you still accepting physical volunteers? Talk to us about how we can be involved in supporting you as a community.
Certainly, the general public can be very involved with the Red Cross in carrying out its mandate, because we need the general public in order to carry out our mandate. Donations can be done with a direct deposit to our RBC account, or on our website at www.bahamasredcross.org. Click on the donate button, and you can then fill in the form for the donation. Or we are still accepting checks. If you wish to drop off, just drop off a check to our front desk. Then we will respond to you with your receipt and your thank you note. So persons can certainly donate monetarily. Additionally, you can donate with items in kind donations. So if you have food items, water, hygiene items, cleaning items that you wish to donate to the Red Cross, then certainly we are still accepting those donations, and you can drop those off at our headquarters on John F. Kennedy Drive. So we, as you correctly indicated, Sky, we lost one of our major fundraisers. So we are in need of those donations to help us to go through this hurricane season. So we would encourage the Bahamian public, and that is on any island in the country, that you can drop off a donation check, donate directly, virtually to our RBC account, or online. And should we have a major hurricane like we did of Dorian, we will open more channels. As you saw in Dorian, we had the GoFundMe account, we had our credit card, PayPal, a lot of different avenues to donate to the Red Cross.
All right. Well, we are unfortunately out of time, but it was a pleasure to have you both join us this morning and talk about the important work that you're doing. Of course, our thoughts and prayers are with you and your team as you continue to serve the needs of our community and taking care of so many people during this COVID-19 time, pre-hurricane season. And of course, we know your work continues from Dorian last year. So continuing to keep you in our thoughts and prayers, and reminding people that, of course, they can find more information at thebahamasredcross.org. Thanks again for joining us this morning.
Thank you too. It's a pleasure.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be back with more after this commercial break.
Do you want to know more about the scriptures, the early Christian church, its teachings, suffering, other religions, the authenticity of the Bible? The Anglican Theological Institute is for you. Enroll in the 3-year certificate program. Classes are conducted from Nassau and Freeport on Saturday mornings. Don't miss a class. Stay connected anytime, anywhere, with high-speed internet. Contact us at 603-2481. Visit our Facebook page. Pick up an application form at any Anglican church or at Addington House on Sands Road. The Anglican Theological Institute is for you.
He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hand.
Sun Oil, caring, invested, committed.
As disruptive technologies go, nothing has shaken up the economy more than the smartphones. Apps have completely changed the way we book taxi rides, accommodation, and food delivery. Business sectors that previously had no digital footprint are now synonymous with technology. While names like Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, Just Eat, and Deliveroo are household names around the world, on-demand business touches many other areas of life. Enterprises are trying to find ways to engage users to their services. Businesses will be forced to connect with their customers with a personalized effect. The complex user behavior needs to be tackled with enhanced conversation and better engagement. Though each of the on-demand business is different, there are elements of commonality which forms the basis of technology stack. Business and entrepreneurs just need to focus on their business operations, not technology. JungleWorks is providing complete tech stack on subscription model to help businesses grow.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. So we are continuing our focus on hurricane needs and hurricane preparedness as we are now into hurricane season, June the 1st. Here to tell us what AML Foods at Solomon's Cartwright have to offer are Renee Bastian, VP of Marketing and Communications of AML Foods, and Melissa Major, Marketing Manager at AML Foods. Ladies, good morning. It's been a long time, but good to see you back on Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning. And it's a pleasure being here. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you. So it is June 1st, but before we even get into that, just speak a little bit about AML Foods and the different outlets and what's the differences between, say, Solomon's, Fresh Market, Cartwright.
So AML Foods, we have 3 grocery brands. We have Cartwright, which is the club format. So it sells, club packed wholesale groceries. There's also membership. So if you're a member, you actually get lower prices than being a non-member. And then we also have Solomon's, which is like our retail grocery store. But within that brand, we have Solomon Supercenter that sells general merchandise. So that's like a one-stop shop. You can go in there, you can get your groceries, you can buy houseware, you can buy bed and bath appliances, all of those items. So it's a one-stop shop. And then, of course, we have Fresh Market, which is our more organic, whole foods type line, specialty items.
And what are the hours and locations of each of these stores?
Right now, we're operating 7 to 7, given the current situation. But normally, we're open later. But right now, with all of the orders in place, we're open until 7.
Okay, all right. So it is June 1st. It is this the 5th or the 6th month of the year? It's hard to believe 2020 needs to be over, but anyway, we're not gonna rush on this. But let's talk a little bit about hurricanes and the hurricane supply checklist. What can people find when they're shopping at AML Foods, and what do you think would be the appropriate things for them to have, particularly either immediately or in stock for this hurricane season?
So at the beginning of May, in anticipation of all of this, because we've been actually preparing for about 2 months, we actually started distributing in store as well as online a hurricane checklist. And this is just based on, our experience in terms of what people are going to need, what they come looking for. So, we got a jump on it. We actually put out that list, and we've been promoting that now for the past 4 weeks. So we've been, like I said, planning for 2 months. So we've been sourcing those items, making sure that our warehouses, are fully stocked, not only here, but also in Florida. We've learned a lot from Dorian. And so, we're just taking, those points that we would have picked up on and making sure that, if, and fingers crossed that nothing happens, if we're faced with that type of a situation again, we are ready. So, the regular items, the batteries, the battery operated fans and flashlights, you need tarp, you need, non-perishable foods, foods that are shelf stable. And what I like to recommend that people do is, you start picking up a couple of items now, It could be, every time you shop or every other time, just so, in the event, that, there's a threat, there's a warning, you do have items. And it also helps you in terms of, finances. You have to come up with all of that money all at once because you would have been spreading it out, over the past couple of weeks or months or however long it is.
Yeah, I would imagine it's been quite a challenge between the hurricanes, between COVID. I mean, we've seen the lines wrapped around your various stores, but even beyond that, I mean, we've been on lockdown. We've been, Melissa, I've run into you a couple of times in the fresh market and you've given me great advice. You're a nutritionist as well. I mean, so, what would you say to people, not just for hurricane season, but of course people tend to stock up on junk food during hurricane season. But what would you say in terms of having healthy food options in the midst of a crisis, in the midst of hurricanes, and even generally speaking day to day?
Well, the thing about it is, like Renee said, what you would want to do, take it one day at a time, or better yet, 1 week. During hurricane season, that's the time when the electricity is out, and sometimes it's kind of difficult to stick to your normal nutrition routine, but making sure that you have the basics on hand. Stay away from the junk food. We highly recommend real food at a fresh market. That's our go-to. Let's eat real food. Stay away from the junk. In terms of the non-perishables, every week stock up a little bit on your tuna. You have some canned chicken or salmon now. You have so many options as it relates to non-perishables, and we have a large variety at our fresh market store, at all of our stores actually. And as it relates to the meat, keeping them in the freezer, go on a week by week basis, because of course you don't want anything to spoil. You don't want to over budget, and like Renee said, you don't want when that minute comes, like you just got to go on store shopping crazy, because it's already crazy in the grocery stores now.
Well, it certainly has been crazy in the grocery stores. Renee, can you explain a little bit about how the stores have been coping, particularly in the middle of this pandemic, in terms of sanitization, in terms of protocols, the different types of things that we need to follow?
Well, it's been crazy, but I must say that the AML team has risen to the challenge. We're so proud of, how they've been performing, not complaining, showing up for work day in and day out, putting themselves at risk, and then going home to their families. It's just been amazing, and I just have to, commend them for the excellent work that they've been doing. But as a company, we have our plan. We've been sticking to that plan. We've been making sure that, we're doing the deep cleaning. We're making sure that, customers coming into the stores are adhering to social distancing policies. We put the little markers down on the floor. We got masks for all of our staff members so that, in the event that they don't have them personally, they can get them from us. So, it's been great. Our supply chain has been flowing. We've been very proud that, through, our relationships with our outside vendors, we have stuff coming in. Yeah, we run out of things here and there, but basically, we've been able to keep everything going, and people have been able to come into all of our locations and shop. So we're very, very happy of how things are going. And we actually anticipate that, as time goes on and, the rest of the world, gets a little bit more normal, then it'll get even better for us in terms of items flowing in. But right now, nothing to worry about. We have everything, and it's continuing to come in.
Okay, excellent. Either one of you can probably take this last question in terms of, how can we keep up? I mean, obviously it's an educational campaign as well, but how can people follow you on social media? I know before these things started, you had a very active educational program. You'd have different events and activities at the various stores and locations. Melissa, you've certainly been big in terms of, tips and in terms of how to eat and what to eat and when to eat. But again, how can people follow you and learn more about the different locations, different foods, different programs of AML?
Well, all of our events are now online, digital. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram. And we have actually this Saturday, we have First Saturday Fitness coming up for Solomon's Super Center, our Solomon's brand, as well as Fresh Market. So come on Facebook, 8 a.m. Saturday morning, and we're still here. We're still doing it. We have Wellness Wednesdays. We have our health coach who is now Lincoln Knowles. He's actually doing food demos. Everything is now online, digital Facebook page. So check us out. Yeah, we're still here.
Saturday morning, we'll see if we can make that happen for sure.
And you can do it right at home, so you don't even have to leave. You get your workout, then come to the store, get your smoothie, and grocery shop. How about that?
How about that? No doubt. No doubt. Thank you so much for being here once again, Bahamas at Sunrise. We've been with Renee Bastian. She's the VP of Marketing and Communications of AML Foods, and Melissa Major, Marketing Manager. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Phil. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you. You too. Watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
At Doctors Hospital, we recognize the concerns you may have about the coronavirus. Here are a few of the critical things you need to know. Coronaviruses are a large group of viruses that are common among animals, however, can be transmitted from animals to humans. Coronavirus can present itself similar to a common cold, with symptoms such as cough, sore throat, and fever. For those with a weakened immune system, including the elderly, there is a chance that the virus may cause more serious respiratory illness like pneumonia. Human coronaviruses most commonly spread from an infected person to others through the air by coughing and sneezing, close personal contact such as shaking hands, touching an object or surface with the virus on it, followed by touching your mouth, nose, or eyes with unwashed hands. There are currently no vaccines available to protect you against human coronavirus. However, you can limit your vulnerability by taking precautions to prevent transmission. Doctors Hospital, trusted and best care now. Isn't your health worth it?
Since 1967, FOCO has been a vital part of the Grand Bahama community, providing high-quality products and great customer service. Today, we continue to work hard and remain focused on fueling growth for people throughout the Bahamas.
Business in the Box is your solution for business from Cable Bahamas. It's an internet, voice, mobile, and advertising solution all in one place. Get reliable internet, free domestic call, and a live corporate package, and free TV ad placement, all starting with packages as low as $164 a month. You can save over $3,000 a year. Just call 601-8911. That's 601-8911. And ask for Business in the Box from Cable Bahamas Business Solutions. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. We're at the halfway point. I'm Anastasia Galatians.
I'm Philip Simon.
And thank you for staying with us. Of course, we've had a busy morning. Phil and I discussing many of the things happening globally and here locally. And then moving into conversations with the Red Cross. Still critical that we support them during this time. Hearing those numbers, Phil, the fact that they've been feeding about 1,000 meals, hot meals per day, really gives you an indication of how drastic COVID has been to many of our families. Moving from 400 to 1,000 is a significant number.
Yeah, that jumped out at me right away. And you know what? And it shows that people are in need, like you say. And it also shows that people are helping people. So that's
Yeah, and of course we did speak with Solomon's and the team there from Fresh Market and and all of those brands. And we're looking forward to another conversation as we continue. We're going to be talking with Quality Home Center and the Q Club about options to make sure that you're hurricane ready. Of course, June 1st is the beginning of hurricane season. And given our track record over the past 5 years and the track record of 2020, we want to make sure that you are as prepared as possible. So I'm looking forward to that conversation.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll also be talking with the dynamic duo now, Gowan Bowe and Rupert Pinder. They're going to break down the 2021 budget delivered in the House this past week. But now, let's take a second look with weather at sunrise with Godfrey Burnside. From what I saw, it was a beautiful weekend. Godfrey, how's the week going to look?
Weather at sunrise, brought to you by Bahamas First. First in insurance, today, tomorrow.
Thank you, Phil, and good morning, Bahamas. Phil, a little wet one for the rest of the week, off and on showers. But today is the 1st of June and the start of the 2020 tropical cyclone season. We do expect an above average season with 16 named storms, 8 becoming hurricanes, 4 becoming major hurricanes, meaning those winds are in excess of 110 miles per hour. The average season is 12, 6, and 2. But you would have noticed, before the season started during May, we had 2 storms. We had Arthur and we had Bertha form already. And we are now watching an area in the Guatemala, Yucatan area. And this morning, the remnants of an eastern Pacific tropical storm, Amanda, located inland near Guatemala, Yucatan border. This system is moving towards the north and expected to move more northwestward later today, possibly merging over the southern Bay of Campeche by this evening, where environmental conditions are conducive for development. This system has a 70% chance of development over the next 5 days, and if it forms in the system, will become Cristobal in the western Gulf of Mexico. Elsewhere, tropical storm formation are expected during the next 5 days. On the local scene, we do have a frontal boundary that is expected to move near Grand Bahama Abaco tonight and move over the northwest Bahamas by tomorrow, and that will cause increasing cloudiness, some showers and possible thunderstorms over the northwest and southern Bahamas over the next several days. In your marine forecast, those winds today variable at 10 knots or less, seas less than 3 feet over the northwest Bahamas, east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet over the central and southeastern islands. On Tuesday, those winds start off north at northeast east at 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet, but increasing 15 knots, sea 3 to 5 feet by afternoon. And over the southeastern islands, those winds are east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet over the central and southeastern islands. On Wednesday, those winds become east at 15 to 20 knots, seas 4 to 6 feet over the northwestern and central Bahamas, continuing east to southeast at 15 knots, 3 to 5 feet over the southeastern islands. Yet tides, you can expect a low tide at 10:38 this morning, next high tide at 4:58 this evening, low again tonight at 11:17. Sunset 7:56 this evening, rises 6:20, UV index 8, your water temperature 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and moon phase first quarter. Your extended outlook indicating that frontal boundary will move across the northwest Bahamas over the next 24 to 36 hours, and that will cause some increasing cloudiness, showers, and possible thunderstorms over the islands through Thursday. Those temperatures daytime will be in the upper 80s, at nighttime in the upper 70s. That puts a wrap on your final look at weather sunrise. I'm Godfrey Burnside. Bahamas the sunrise will be back after the short commercial break.
As disruptive technologies go, nothing has shaken up the economy more than the smartphones. Apps have completely changed the way we book taxi rides, accommodation, and food delivery. Business sectors that previously had no digital footprint are now synonymous with technology. While names like Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, Just Eat, and Deliveroo are household names around the world, on-demand business touches many other areas of life. Enterprises are trying to find ways to engage users to their services. Businesses will be forced to connect with their customers with a personalized effect. The complex user behavior needs to be tackled with enhanced conversation and better engagement. Though each of the on-demand business is different, there are elements of commonality which forms the basis of technology stack. Business and entrepreneurs just need to focus on their business operations, not technology. JungleWorks is providing complete tech stack on subscription model to help businesses grow.
Do you want to know more about the scriptures, the early Christian church, its teachings, suffering, other religions, the authenticity of the Bible? The Anglican Theological Institute is for you. Enroll in a 3-year certificate program. Classes are conducted from Nassau and Freeport on Saturday mornings. Don't miss a class. Stay connected anytime, anywhere, with high-speed internet. Contact us at 603-2481. Visit our Facebook page. Pick up an application form at any Anglican church or at Addington House on Sands Road. The Anglican Theological Institute is for you.
Nourish your immune system. Nourish your health. Nourish your life with Ensure. Ensure Original, Ensure Plus, and Ensure Max Protein.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. Well, as we've been saying to you all morning, we do want you to be prepared for the hurricane season, which starts today, June 1st. And one of the ways that you can do that is by making sure that you're stocking up on those essential items that you will need. So we're very happy to welcome Mr. Trevor Davis. He's the co-owner of Quality Home Center and the Q Club. They apparently have everything that you need to keep you covered this season. And so we're happy that he's joined us this morning on Bahamas at Sunrise to talk with us. Good morning, Mr. Davis, and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning to you, and good morning to the Bahamas at large. I'm just so happy and able to be here to share some of the items that we have in store as we begin to prepare for the hurricane season.
Certainly, and you guys have been a lifesaver for many of us, even through COVID-19. I was able to go into Q Club and grab my daughter a tea set, and that saved me lots of headache and energy by giving her something to play with. We'll talk about some of the things that you have for kids later on, but let's get started right away talking about the hurricane essentials that you have in store. What are some of those hurricane essential items that we can purchase from you even now?
Yeah, well, what I would refer everybody to is what they call a hurricane prepared kit. That's something that we've been directing a lot of our customers over the previous years to purchase. And when I say a hurricane preparedness kit, we have to start off with the bin. You know, you have to sterilize the Tupperware bin. And why I recommend this is because during a hurricane or you have a situation where there's a lot of rain, you know, your personal items tend to get damaged. And they're the items that you will definitely need in the recovery mode. And so you want to put all your passports, all your documents, your passports, your insurance papers, your house papers, and a smaller bin. And then after putting it in a smaller bin, you want to secure it in a larger bin. And in the larger bin, that's where you'll have the essentials. We're talking about your flashlights, your batteries, your radio, your keys for your car, all your credit card, and you know, these are stuff that you must have that you don't want to get damaged. And in that bin, once you get a large enough bin, you then can use stuff like life vests, a rope, can openers, stuff that you sure that you know you would get easily misplaced during a storm or during a hurricane. And other than that, after the storm would have passed, we would have generators. A lot of persons buy generators before the storm, but we normally see an increase of generators after the storm. And so we carry generators in all sizes. Once you come in the store, we'll be able to direct you based on the size of your house and on your needs. And that's what we'll direct you in which generator to purchase.
Okay, excellent. Now, in terms of some of the things you mentioned, and this is a brilliant idea that I love to hear the Quality Home Center is pushing this, keeping stuff in those bins, because if the house gets flooded, if anything happens, the bin is obviously waterproof and secure, and you can make sure that you can find that one item that has everything in it, and you can take it with you. So that is a brilliant move. In terms of life vests, you guys sell those at Quality Home Center as well?
Yes, we've been selling life vests at the Quality Home Center and the Q Club from inception. Every year we see an increase in the volume that is being purchased. And from last year, after Hurricane Dorian came through last year, because of the so much water, every week there's just been a continuous purchase of life vests. We have some in stock now, and we plan to get some as time go on. So persons, because even though we live in the Bahamas, we still are saying that a lot of people can't swim. And even with the waters as high as we experience in Doreen, whether you're a great swimmer or not, you still want to feel safe. A lot of persons have kids, and they just want to make sure everybody's safe during that time. And also, we carry the smaller raft, the boats that you just use, inflatable boats. We've been seeing an increase in purchasing that, and that's something that could be used in case you have to go and rescue somebody, rescue a neighbor, and so it's good to have the works on hand too.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, it certainly sounds like you have a variety of things that many of us hadn't thought about, but now I'm excited to know that we can purchase directly from you. In terms of hours and locations, now I know we're operating under COVID-19 protocols, but what are the hours that you guys are open even during this time? And once the regulations ease, what can we see happening in terms of hours and locations there?
Well, we are still guided by the government in terms of hours, so the hours change based on what the government tells us from week to week. Right now we are from 8 to 5, and so we guided. We're not open on weekends. We're still Monday to Friday, and so as the country open up slowly but surely, I'm sure we're going to increase the hours more. And by increasing hours, it gives you a chance to have the employees to work longer weeks. And so, of course, with them working longer weeks, of course, we can see an influx in their pay and an influx in their pay. Hopefully, that's a way to get the economy back on track the way we ought to be.
Excellent, excellent. And then can we follow you online for updates, or are you on social media?
Most definitely, we on social media. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We're in the process. We also have a WhatsApp number that we've been using for our curbside. That's been going very well. We're in the process. We are making all the right moves now. We're in the process of going online. So even within the next few weeks, we'll be ready for online purchase. And so we're really excited about that because, persons still want to see exactly that large variety of items that we have that they don't get to see when they come in the store because they're pressed for time, and they can sit down in the comfort of their home and browse out the cost section where, persons always don't have time to go upstairs and look at it, but I'm sure when they'll be able to go online, they'll be able to see everything we have up there.
Yeah, I can certainly say that you can find, almost anything. And then now that I know about the life vests and the rafts, definitely anything Quality Home Center and the Q Club. Well, Mr. Davis, we're out of time this morning, but we're grateful that you joined us here in Bahamas at Sunrise to remind us about all that you offer. And of course, we want to encourage people to follow you on Facebook to get that WhatsApp number. Do you happen to have that WhatsApp number handy if somebody wanted to reach out?
Yeah, the number is 432-1967, 432-006.
All right. Well, thank you so much again for joining us this morning. All the best to you and yours, and of course your employees as you continue to guide us through this pandemic.
Thank you for having us.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hand.
Sun Oil, caring, invested, committed.
One thing, two things. Blue thing, all things. Things that are small, things that are grand, things that fit just right in the palm of your hand. Fox Hill Nursery, a large selection of garden supplies. If you can see it in your mind, you can find it at Fox Hill Nursery.
Business in the Box is your solution for business from Cable Bahamas. It's an internet, voice, mobile, and advertising solution all in one place. Get reliable internet, free domestic call, and a live corporate package, and free TV ad placement, all starting with packages as low as $164 a month. You can save over $3,000 a year Just call 601-8911. That's 601-8911. And ask for Business in a Box from Cable Bahamas Business Solutions. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. The national budget was delivered in the House of Assembly by Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, the Honorable K. Peter Turnquist last week. The 5 critical aims are protecting the health and safety of Bahamians, providing adequate social support, stabilizing the domestic economy, sustaining employment, and accelerating government reforms. Wow, that is a mouthful. Joining us once again on Bahamas at Sunrise are Gowan Bowe, Chief Financial Officer of Fidelity Group, and Rupert Pinder, economist. Gentlemen, we're not in person this time, but welcome back.
Always a pleasure, Phil.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How would you describe last week's budget in the midst of a year like no other, circumstances we've obviously never experienced before? What was your first impression of the budget last week? Carl, let's start with you.
I would say that the rest of the story is to be told. And the reason I would say that is that the budget in and of itself was presented and format, etc., was consistent with what we've seen in the past. But the language was saying that this was something that has never been seen before, unprecedented. And so with that, I believe that the budget exercise is going to have to focus itself on being far more communicative.
Okay.
It has to demonstrate a dynamism that says this is not business as usual. Okay. That, we're going to borrow $1.3 billion, the most we ever have. And there was only a very brief segment on how we're going to raise it, how we're going to pay it back, what impact it's going to have on our lives and the way we do business, etc. And I think we have to bear in mind, I've said to several external sources that House of Parliament is a stage, is theater, right? And not to take too much out of it because it's for the masses. But I think our politicians have to appreciate that the world is watching, and particularly those persons who are going to have to provide the financing, etc. So we're going to have to demonstrate to them that we've thought it through.
Yeah, well, I certainly agree. The devil will hopefully be in the details. Rupert, what were your impressions?
Well, I guess my impression was consistent in terms of some of the things that Gowan would have mentioned. I mean, certainly we all know that the budget itself is unprecedented. I mean, the times are already unprecedented. One of the things here is that I felt that in the midst of all of this crisis to present certain opportunities, right? And opportunities by way of reform, right? I felt that while the officials in the Ministry of Finance certainly are faced with a Herculean task, given in terms of where we are. There's no question about that. But one of the things I would have wanted to see with respect to the budget, and certainly becoming a bit more crystallized, is really to talk a bit more in terms of reform. I felt that a lot of focus was really in terms of a one-year cycle, and that's exactly in terms of what the budget is for the most part, a one-year cycle. But what given in terms of where we are at, it's going to take at least 2 to 3 years at a minimum to address some of these systemic problems that that we are faced with. And one of the things that I would have wanted to see is a bit more in terms of a plan of action, right? We've said a lot with respect to, okay, we're going to cut the subventions to the state-owned enterprises as an example. But again, I don't see anything in terms of a plan, in terms of how we're going to get there, in terms of really addressing some of the issues with respect to the state-owned enterprises. It is one thing to say, for example, there will be no increases in taxes, but the reality of the situation here is that we have a $1.3 billion deficit. We have increases in terms of our recurrent expenditures associated with servicing that debt. And so the question is that what are we doing by way of a framework in terms of even the issue of tax reform? Because again, we cannot, yes, we do have a drag on the economy as a result of COVID, which obviously means that we cannot look at increasing taxes per se in a bad economy. But again, we need to move away from some of these consumption-based stuff and address some of these systemic problems. And so I wanted to see more by way of reforms, etc., or at least a discussion with respect to that framework.
Well, hopefully that's coming. Hopefully that's coming. And again, this is a process. I guess we're going to learn more over the next 2 or 3 weeks exactly what is being planned for each ministry. But you know, just to kind of step back once again, 2020, right? We're now might be the perfect time to do all of the things that you're talking about. But going from a forward-thinking type of perspective, what would you would have suggested to government in terms of what it should be doing right now in preparation for the next several years? I mean, obviously, it in crisis, it might represent an opportunity.
Yeah, and it goes back to something that we speak on often on the show, in the National Development Plan. Had we, you know, continued pushing forward with that, we would have had the immediate, medium, long-term goals. But they've shifted some of the immediate elements. I think what's important is, yes, the expenditure is going to be unprecedented, but it has to be seen as an investment in the future. Whether that is in infrastructure, it has to be saying what infrastructure is needed in order to develop the country going forward. I mean, tourism is a large and will be for the foreseeable future the largest part of our economy. So looking at, I think the DPM mentioned Grand Bahama Airport, other airports, in terms of saying, well, how do we get people here? Because our economy is built on about, I'm going to say a consistent 2 million people being here, because it's 400,000 residents, but it's about 5 to 7 million visitors that come on an annual basis. So we are built for a much larger one. I think we have to make sure that the budget doesn't create a sense of dependency, meaning that the government is a provider. It has to be seen as a facilitator. So everything that the government is doing has to be seen as, if you will, a stepping stone, a foundation, if you will, setting the framework for the private sector and individuals to take control for themselves. So if it was me, and hopefully that's what we will see coming through it, one, I would have a budget that sets out what it would have been base case excluding COVID and even Dorian. I would have had the allocations that I'm putting for Dorian and COVID, meaning what revenue loss is attributable to these two events, what expenditure increases is attributable, and then have the final number. Simply so that I would be able to demonstrate my stewardship, that I have, if you will, projected accurately what it was the impact of COVID and Dorian. When I've come through that, I can show what I'm reverting to. So as Rupert said, I would expect this budget to be very different from the others. It has to be talking about the next 5 years. Now that may span a political cycle, and maybe that's, you know, the reason that we're doing it. But the reality is, it has to demonstrate to people that we are in this together. We are not going to provide and get you through this. We are going to do the things necessary to invest in you. And as Rupert said, reforms, development, but more importantly, it has to be a return on investment, not necessarily a tangible percentage and dollar amount, but it has to be that we can measure whether the programs are working. Just one example, if I'm going to change the duty rates on various industry items coming in, I need to say whether it has been a success or not. Has the industry grown? Has it contributed to GDP? Has it contributed to employment? If I've simply just made those changes without a key performance indicator to measure its success, then I will say that it is largely for naught. So it has to be a mindset of saying, how are we going to do things to invest in the future?
Rupert, in the midst of what we're seeing globally, you know, from obviously the pandemic through the depression, recession that we're now in, to even the protests that are ongoing in the United States, that obviously is going to impact that economy. Are you overly concerned for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and its economy, and what do you see to be the major challenges for the remainder of this year?
Well, I guess that's a loaded one. I mean, you know, there's invariably a lot of things that obviously happen in the United States will invariably impact the Bahamas. In the midst of the COVID-19, I guess a lot of these things, I guess, are interrelated because against that backdrop, you know, you've also had the downgrade of the Bahamas' sovereign debt, right, which will obviously impact in terms of our borrowing costs, which in my view kind of exacerbate in terms of our interest payments, et cetera, in terms of our debt. In terms of the in terms of on the immediate horizon, I still believe that tourism is our main driver. And I've heard a lot of discussion in terms of this whole issue of diversification and looking at these other sectors, etc. But I think we have to start off with that as the underlying premise, that that is the main driver of the economy. I do believe that tourism will come back. I think, like in the case of the retail sector, I think that you'll see some structural changes in my view. Like, for example, in the case of the retail sector, you've seen, and this is even prior to COVID, you've seen the transition to more online type transactions as opposed to your traditional brick and mortar. I honestly believe that in the case of the tourism product, I suspect that what you're going to see is you're going to see more movement towards boutique. Your Airbnb will continue to be, I think, there'll be a greater demand in that area. So I think it's going to perhaps take on a slightly different character, but it's still the main driver with respect to the economy. And I just want to go back to a point that Gordon had made, and I think it cannot be overemphasized enough. And in the economy, in terms of what we're faced with, those measurements in terms of performance, I think, become that much more important because you have to look in terms of efficiency of spending. And over a number of budget cycles, I've always raised the issue in terms of key performance indicators. I mean, we know that, for example, sectors, areas like education is taking a lion's share of the spending, but the question is, are we getting the most bang for the buck, right? Similarly with respect to healthcare, right? So right now, I mean, we really need to focus a lot with respect to those KPIs. But from here until the end of the year, I think the focus ought to be in terms of how quickly we can get the economy open, safely, of course, as best as we can in terms of managing those dynamics. But that is key for me in terms of the opening of the economy.
Yeah. Listen, guys, always a pleasure having you here on Bahamas at Sunrise. I think we could probably stick on this topic for another 2 hours, but unfortunately, Sudos have only given us about 10 minutes, 8 minutes. We'll have to revisit it soon. Gowan, Rupert, thank you so much for being here on Bahamas at Sunrise. They're telling me they did give us 10 minutes. That's fine. We're going to have to come back another time, guys.
All righty, man. Always a pleasure, fella. Be safe.
All right. That's Gowan Bo, Chief Financial Officer at Fidelity Group, and Rupert Pinde, economist. You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
We are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me 'cause I can count on you.
Good afternoon. First response. How can I help you?
I've been in an accident on West Bay Street. Can you send someone to help?
Yes, ma'am. Our first response team will be there in 15 minutes. Are you hurt?
No, I'm fine, but a bit upset.
We're glad you're not hurt. Please, try to relax. Our team will take care of everything as soon as they arrive.
First Response provides immediate on-site service and support from the scene of an accident through the claims and repair process. And it's free to all Bahamas First insured drivers in New Providence every day for any type of accident. If you drive and want First Response on your side, call 321st or visit bahamasfirst.com for the name of an authorized Bahamas First agent. First Response can't prevent an accident from happening,
But it can certainly ease your mind when it happens.
Nourish your immune system. Nourish your health. Nourish your life with Ensure. Ensure Original, Ensure Plus, and Ensure Max Protein.
Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in today. That's going to do it for us here on Bahamas at Sunrise. We hope that you enjoyed the show, learned a lot, and of course are looking forward to a great week ahead.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It ain't long now. Hopefully we're going to get through this month of June, another 30 days of interesting times, curfews, lockdowns. But you know what? we're almost reaching.
I'll hold on to that hope, Phil. Make it a wonderful week, everyone. Bye.